Hello, it's Tom, the guy who does Tom's Retrophilia. I decided to do another raw feed retro recommendation, and this week I thought I'd tackle the subject of comic books. And I'm not going to talk about Marvel Comics One More Day, or its endless stream of event comics, or DC's New 52. Instead, I was going to make a recommendation for another comic, an alternative to the big two. These days, comic books run anywhere from $2.99 to $3.99, and it's a pretty big hit. And that's why DC and Marvel are pretty conservative when they make their creative decisions. And I'm not talking politically conservative, because you see that they have these days quite a few, for example, gay and lesbian characters in their comics. I mean, for example, DC has so many Batman titles. You have Nightwing, you have Detective Comics, you have Batman, and there's going to be a new Batman family title coming out. There's so many Marvel X-Men comics. There seems to be a new Avengers title coming out every month. So that's what I mean by conservative in terms of their decisions. They like to back name properties, and uh, as a result, you are kind of limited in your choices to some extent. You're going to get pretty much a variation on a theme in most cases. And I say most cases, I know there are exceptions. So what are your alternatives? Well, there are other comic companies. There's Dark Horse Comics, for example, and there's Image Comics. And today I wanted to talk about an Image comic which currently is out of print, but I really enjoyed its run. Created by writer Jay Faber, Noble Causes tells the story of the Noble family, a clan of superheroes. You have all the heroic archetypes. Doc Noble, the family patriarch, is an inventor. His wife Gaia is a sorceress. Their three children, Rusty, Race, and Zephyr, possess super strength, super speed, and mastery of wind, respectively. Then there is the black sheep of the family, Frost, Gaia's illegitimate son, who has powers similar to the X-Men character Iceman. There are other characters. Celeste is Rusty's gold-digging, fame-hungry wife. Krennic, the son of one of Doc Noble's arch enemies, is Race's best friend, and most important, at least in the early trades, is Liz Donnelly, Race's wife, who has no powers. The Nobles come across more like the Kardashians than the Avengers. They seem to care more about their personal problems as well as fame and money rather than being superheroes, and that's what makes the series so much fun to read. Noble Causes takes a more refreshing look at what being superpowered and famous might be like. Liz Donnelly is the point of view character, the normal person which we as the reader gain exposition through. I like her a great deal because unlike so many of the other characters who are absorbed with their own problems and often come across as either shallow or selfish, she honestly loves Race and isn't marrying him for the money. She's a bookstore owner he met, and he falls hard for her, and unlike so many other women, she wasn't overwhelmed by his status. Frost runs a close second to me. The noble bad boy, he comes across as being bitter and angry over being left out in the cold. Sorry. Seriously, I like Frost because despite his anger at being marginalized, his heart is in the right place and he doesn't hesitate to step up and protect the family when called upon. Now, I don't want you to think all of these characters are irredeemable bastards. The Nobles are not bad, just sometimes more focused on their own problems rather than the big picture. In other words, they read a lot more like real people. I also don't want you to think that the series is all soap opera. There's plenty of action too. It's just that Faber decides to take all the common superhero tropes and give them a bit of a spin. For example, in a later trade, an enemy of Doc's swaps bodies with him, and Gaia discovers that she actually prefers the guy in Doc's body to the original Doc because this one doesn't constantly hold her infidelity over her head, and he pays attention to her. Noble Causes Volume 1 collects the first 4-issue miniseries, as well as Noble Causes First Impressions. Now, as I said at the beginning, I enjoyed its run, which means Noble Causes is no longer in print, sadly. But I think it had a really strong run while it was going on. And you can buy the comic in trade paperback form. And as a matter of fact, I own quite a few of them. And this is the first issue. And it originally sold for $12.95. Now, if you go on Amazon.com, though, you could buy it new and used for $2. So if you include shipping. I mean, and even less than $2 if you want to buy it used. You know, some companies are selling it for 45 cents. So if you include shipping $4, you would only pay $5 or $6 for a trade paperback that would cost $12.95. And I really think it's value for your money. I really enjoyed this first issue and this first trade, and it really prompted me uh, to buy all the other trades. And this one final thing I want to note in terms of trade paperbacks. If you enjoy a comic series, don't wait for it to come out in trade paperback. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, I'll wait until this comes out, you know, in the trades, because then I'll have a collected story in one go." The problem with that is a recipe for helping to get your comic title killed. The best way to support a comic is to buy it when it's coming out, and to only buy trade paperbacks to catch up, as I did with Noble Causes. By the time I caught up with what was going on, I started buying the comic regularly from my local comic book store. So again, I recommend Noble Causes. Just pick up the first issue. Looks like there's plenty of issues out there through Amazon.com. Maybe talk to your local comic book store. For people who are watching this in other countries, I don't know how readily available it could be, but I think that it at least serves as an example that there are alternatives to just DC and Marvel comics. So later on in the upcoming months, I'm going to be making other recommendations. This was kind of unusual because Noble Causes is no longer in print. I'm going to be talking later on about comics which are still active. So thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a very happy and safe Halloween. Goodbye.